you got to find out pretty quickly who is in the right roles. Because just because you could do the roles doesn't mean it's the right role for you. You could have the right people. They call it like, who do you have on the bus? The right husband and wife on the bus, but they're sitting in the wrong seats.
They might be sitting in the wrong seats, but how many people or in couple situations are in a role where it's depleting them and they don't want to be in that role? Or maybe that's not like making them feel alive and juicy. What kind of conversations do you think that those couples need to have?
So the theme or frame around this conversation is, how do you play as a team? We were having this conversation this morning about some of the way we want to design this future life, right? You really, really want, and I do too, for this ranch, this retreat, this compound, this farm, depending upon who's saying it. And I was like, Ange, like, there's no planning whatsoever with you. You're like, it's all worked out for me in the past. And you were trying to justify how that is. Like, you have this ultimate faith. Yeah.
It has always worked out for me in that way.
And then what's wild is, like, I'm a lot like that, but I like more of a plan. But not as much of a plan as most people, but more of a plan than you.
Than me, yeah.
And then I proceeded to be like, wait a minute. You jumped right into our marriage. You were younger. You were like, he's the one. Boom. You were more ready in some ways than me. Me, I was getting known as the guy who was never going to commit. And then I met you and I was like, boom, committed, all in. Right?
Yeah.
And so in a way, this has happened over and over again. And we started going
so many times.
We've gone through this. Like the horse. You made a decision. You tell me, like, you made a decision in the beginning of 24.
Yeah, it stems back so much, but most recently, the horse. Like, first off, I'm obviously very impulsive, right?
The most impulsive, impatient human being I've ever met in my entire life.
Really?
Yes.
The most?
The most.
Okay, that's fair. But I got
and
this
I'm here
in my
for
brain
it too.
Most of the time. You're not always there for it initially, but I get you there.
Let's show examples. And then we could break down how this works.
Okay, so yes, most recently the horse. I had it in my brain. I was like, I love horses. I love horseback riding. I'm gonna go actually spend my life and spend some time.
This is how
riding.
Committed you are to the future. You forget your reasons on why you do things.
What do you mean?
The end of 2023, you said one of my New Year's resolutions is I'm gonna start
horses.
riding.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I found right.
Okay, so I made that decision, and then up on my Instagram pops, or on my Facebook pops, this opportunity to lease a horse for $40 a day. I'm like,
$40 a day.
First off, deal. Second, okay, I didn't even know you could lease horses. Didn't even know that was a thing. And so I reached out to her. I was like, how does this even look? And she's like, well, you come out, you literally lease the horse. You can do whatever you want with the horse for that day. It's $40, and it's like your horse for the day. I was like, well, is it trained? Is it like, and she's like, yeah, it's totally trained. I can give you lessons too if you want. So I went out for like a couple lessons. She was great. She was actually a great trainer because she was like really helpful.
As you could justify the story all you want. I'm letting you tell this ridiculous story.
I'm going to keep going.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's interesting. And so I was riding. I was feeling great. Went on a trail ride with her because I was like, oh, don't want to go on a trail ride right now, because I forgot to mention that the horse was a Mustang. And for those of you who don't know what a Mustang is, it's a wild horse. So
who's gonna ride your wild horses?
Yes. So this is a Mustang, had been trained by her, right? She trained it to be like broke in a sense.
What was the horse's name?
Quilt.
That's right.
It was the sweetest horse. And it was a woman horse, which is
a woman horse.
A woman horse. Okay. I'm there.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
A woman horse.
A woman horse.
Yep.
Which people give mares a bad rep because they say
get
that they're
in heat
bitchy.
And they can be bitchy. Yeah.
But anyways, and it was just in this little spot in kind of the middle of nowhere. And so I was like loving my life. And then I take you there.
Well, I knew we were in trouble. You didn't just take me there. We decided to make this a family excursion.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And as we're getting closer,
he's like, I hope this isn't the place.
No, you started justifying and be like, well, like, because when you were telling me when you were riding, I was getting little tidbits. And
You
I'm
were
like half paying
picturing me
attention.
riding.
What?
You were picturing me actually riding.
I kind of, even though I had all the background, like I just was like, play it out. And so the minute we get there, I'm like, holy shit, my wife's going to get murdered. There's a double wide here. This woman lives in like a trailer, not a trailer, but like this little hut. And this horse is here. That's a wild horse. We get out and this dog comes, and Gigi was even younger, so she was small. The dog starts growling and going after Gigi.
Yeah, that's true.
And it is an absolute dumpster fire, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking around, I'm like, this is not going to happen. Now, not from even a bougie standpoint.
A safety standpoint.
A safety standpoint, plus
which I now realize, now having my own horse, but yes.
And I had much more experience in this world.
Yeah.
So I've seen it the whole way. And so we get in and you immediately get protective of your dream. And I'm literally saying to you in the car, like, maybe we should just buy a horse. And you're still mad at me.
Well,
and
because I don't believe you.
Yeah. And I'm giving you an alternative. And then even Ella was like, why are you mad at Dad? He's saying you could buy a horse.
Yeah.
And so that led to you starting to get some, looking up the Cowgirl Cadillac, and I started getting more involved.
I wasn't just starting to look. I was completely and utterly obsessed.
Yeah.
With looking for a new horse.
Yeah.
And I found this place that was an auction that was specifically hand-picked horses for like women and children. And I was like, babe, we have to check this out.
Which led to us going there, me actually riding all the horses, me doing a ton of this work, going back a second time, me pumping up what we were willing to pay, me doing all the bidding, going over double what we had originally said. And we started with your idea and me bringing it completely through. I was thinking about this morning. You start the fight, I finish it.
That is so true.
I end
in every level.
Right?
And that's the moral of the story. The moral of the story is
Yes.
I just got to fucking go because eventually you're going to take the reins and you're going to finish it.
And a lot of the times these are my ideas too, right? So from even the beginning on our honeymoon, right? I was super content, having sex and laying on the beach the entire honeymoon. And you were like, let's go on a helicopter tour of the volcanoes in Hawaii and Maui. And I'm like, well, I'm not really interested, but I'll go. We go. The minute you get me awake, I was like, this is awesome. I want to sit in the front. You're telling me I can look straight down. You're in the back turning 4 shades of green.
I got motion sickness.
And I'm having the best time ever. I'm like, right?
It was still beautiful. I still loved it.
When we decided to buy our first house together.
Yes.
You wanted every frigging house we walked into.
In all fairness, I was pregnant and nesting.
Yeah, you're still an impulsive human being. Whether you're president, you would do that today. It would not matter.
You're right. I would actually buy a house sight unseen on Zillow.
Of course you would. You want me to buy a house in Franklin that I've never been to.
100%. And yes. I know it's the house.
Which you've said a million times. And so even when we were looking at this house, I'll never forget, we were looking at that Blue Heron house that was by Buffalo, this custom, very modern house with a stairway.
Had holes in it?
Had holes in it, like one of those very modern stairways. And we had an 18-month-old baby Ella and a brand new Lola on the way. And I'm like, and their bedrooms would be upstairs. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to... I don't
remember it this way, but...
Oh, I do. I'm like, I don't think this is going to... We'll make it work. No backyard, big pool. I was like... And I remember, I don't think you're committed to buying a house. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then what it led to was when we finally walked into the house we ended up buying, I was like, not only this is the one I'm making the offer right now, I'm not letting him sell it to anyone else. I'm overpaying, and I made it happen. I did the same thing in Coeur d'Alene. I did the same thing with our building.
With our RV.
With the RV I didn't want. Never. And I fought you on that RV. We were in a drag knockout fight. Let's give a little backstory on this one. So we decide we're going to become RV people.
This was prior to COVID.
Prior to COVID, we were good timing.
This was prior to COVID. I was like, we have to have this because we need to spend more time in nature. And all of my justifications came out. And I was like, this is how we have to live our life. And I was like, you don't want to camp. I want to camp. So this is how we meet. We meet in the middle by buying this incredible, luxurious Sprinter van Airstream,
$170,000. You get you don't even get a car loan.
No, you get a house loan.
You get a house
loan.
Mortgage. Yeah. I go, why don't we rent one?
Yeah, no. If we're going to do this, we're going to fucking do this.
I think you knew that if we rented one, I'd be like, hell no.
Exactly. I did know.
Right? And I'm like, well, I don't want a used one. Let's find a new one. Of course, just like the horse, you locate one exactly the color, brand new in Fort Worth.
I know your fucking buttons.
We fly the four of us. And I don't even think you were pregnant with Gigi yet. And this is going to be our game. We fly to
Fort Worth.
Was it DFW? I don't know. We fly there.
Yeah.
And our plan is to drive this thing back. Mm-hmm. How many miles of experience did you and I have combined with driving an RV?
Zero.
These things are complicated.
Yeah.
They're very custom. So they take a Mercedes Sprinter. Mm-hmm. Airstream goes in and kind of just decks it out. They could do it multiple times. So it's like almost like a collaboration. And the way it works is you have solar, you have the actual engine of the Sprinter, then there's a battery. Like there's
propane.
There's gas.
Liquid propane.
There's multiple ways to do this. Mm-hmm. And what I don't like, it's not linear. Like it's not like A to B. It's like, well, if you want to like do this, you have 3 different options. You could do this, this, or this, but you got to make sure this is not done with this. And I'm like, kill me fucking now. And we're videoing this. Like we're going to be able to figure this out
while our kids are running around.
Yeah, like animals. Yeah. Remember they're in all the RVs, right? Yeah. Yes. So right before we're about to sign the papers, I take you outside. I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea. I think we should just jump back on a plane and go home.
Yeah.
You start crying. Right? You remember this?
I think I started crying.
Oh, yeah. We're in a knockdown drag out.
We're in an argument, that's for sure. I don't know if I started crying.
You started crying.
Okay. Maybe I did.
You did. Because this was right after
yes. Our trip to Thailand.
And our marriage was in like a tough spot. And this was like our way to like meet in the middle. And so I'm like, fine. I'm signing away my life, putting down like, I don't know, $40,000, $50,000. He hands me the keys. And I'm like, what am I going to do now? And I end up driving this 25-foot fucking thing all the way back. And then this is typical Dave and Angie. This is why people like to know us is to love us. We hit a ton of wind and rain in Amarillo. And we're like, well, we got an RV. We could just park it and sleep. But we don't know how to use it. So we park it in a parking lot of like a Holiday Inn Express and sleep in the Holiday Inn. Idiots.
And we're like keeping an eye on it all night. Like, oh God, what if somebody tries to break in it?
Oh God.
Yeah,
and
that was only the beginning of the stories, which is a whole nother thing.
So we thought we were burning ourselves. Anyway, long story short, we figured it out. I ended up, great story for another time, doing something, ripping the whole awning off the thing. We sold it during COVID. Yeah. And got our money back, but we had the experience.
It was great stories.
And so we have this over and over again, right? Our friends, Val and Ashley, had been traveling to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho for 5 years, visiting friends. They finally bought a house. We went and visited them. The 4th day we were there, we bought a house. Yeah. Right? We only kept it a year, sold it. Right. And so the story of this is like how we work as a team. These type of things could ruin relationships.
Oh, totally.
Like crush them. But we figured out along the way, like, and I think even though we kind of are aware of it, not even kind of, we are aware of it, we still fight it.
Oh, I'm fighting it right now. I literally, when we were having the conversation this morning, I was like, he's so right. He's so right. Just trust the process. Just trust the process and the time frame, right? Because I want everything to happen like yesterday. I'm like, I want this, I want that. This is how we got to do this. We're missing this opportunity. We're missing the boat. And instead of being like, okay, he's right. Like we haven't even traveled to these places. We don't even know where we want to be. We don't even know what the whole picture looks like. And that's why these things like you were talking about in the beginning of the episode, like how people are asking and like the thing we even talked about before, if things don't work out a certain way, like there will be a way it will work out, and I believe that it'll be better. It's just I constantly have to remind myself that.
I need to see it. It doesn't necessarily need to be where I could touch it, but I need to see it in my head.
Yeah.
Like clearly.
Yeah.
Like I could see it clearly in my head that this ranch exists. I just don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And what will happen is the minute I see it and feel it and know it, I will make it happen like nobody ever made it happen. And so that is where, like, when you're talking about a team in a marriage, because you're a team, like, and we're, as much as we're a team, we still are so independent. Remember, Jess, she'd be like, you need to unite the kingdoms because we're capable, more than capable on our own. This is what's having two alphas. We don't need each other. We want each other. Right? So unite the kingdom, but to be a true king and queen and to be this team, you got to know like where your strengths and weaknesses are. And so I always joke, I'm like, our way of being, like I shared that meme yesterday of, you know, is this the type of entrepreneur you are? Figure it out along the way. And it's just some guy on a motorcycle with a goat, right?
It's a cow.
Oh, was it a cow?
It's a massive cow he's sitting like behind it on a motorcycle.
Oh, thanks for the correction.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. I always say we jump out of the plane and build the parachute on the way down. But we have different roles in this visual metaphor, right? You're the one, if we jump out of a plane and build a parachute on the way out, you're the one who's like, let's just get on the plane in the first place and go skydiving. That's you.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there's sometimes that I'm the one like, hey, we got to get on this plane. The building, for instance, like we bought this building. It was $7 million. We put $2 million in. Everyone wasn't even for sale.
Yep.
Right? Like I went to rent the top. I was like, this is a piece of garbage. They wanted cheap rent. I'm like, I'm going to have to put a ton of money into it. I'm like, why don't we buy it? My dad was like, I don't know. You kind of were like, this makes sense. But this was like all me, right? And I had this clear vision of what it could be. Like to me, it was underutilized. I mean, what's kind of cool is tomorrow the coffee class is opening. This coffee shop is opening.
I would call it cafe or bistro.
Is opening in a office building.
Yeah, that's
right.
Amazing. I went and looked
we
at
invested
it this morning.
$400. Did you take a look at it?
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's incredible. We invested $400,000 into it. Like I got rents that people would never expect. Like this, like maybe 15 times along the way in this, people are like, "Don't do it.
Yep,
you're making the wrong decision."
But back to your team, like the dynamic of a team.
You have my back the entire time.
And that I always do. Like, even if I'm like, I disagree with it, like I will voice my opinion and I will like give you my reasons. But ultimately, like I trust that like whatever that, if you so strongly believe in something, we're either going to succeed at it. And if we fail, we're going to learn something from it. Like I have your back all the way. Like even with the building, like there was no question. I was like, yeah, we got to do this. There's no question that we can't do this. You know what I mean? And
that was an instance where I was crystal clear, but I still needed the support of your strength because you are so much of a steady Eddie versus me. Like I it's so funny. I taught this yesterday, but this is real life, right? Like I did it on a mirror and I was like, this is how you are, right? You want it to be linear. You're just going to go.
Straight line.
You're straight line up, right? Which is great because you're consistent and you have faith. And I did this like up and down roller coaster type line, all going up with big lows, big highs, right? And I'm like, sometimes when I'm below your line, I'm not quite there yet. Then sometimes I completely surpass you because I'm even more certain. And I'm kind of that one. Yeah. And it works. And I'm like, what's wild is the further down you go, the more risk you take is usually the higher the ascent is, right? And so having you next to me, this was an instance where I had the ultimate faith the entire time. But most of the time, you see it before me. Yeah. You're very optimistic and your faith is very high in things working out. And I don't think you've seen an idea you don't like.
That's true. I normally can justify it somehow in my head.
I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, but while that would work, is it our best use? Is it in alignment, right?
Well, it's even with our remodels, right? We've remodeled a ton of houses, and I know so many couples where I'm like, listen, if you get through a remodel or a new construction build or a custom build with your spouse, you should be
That's right.
able
We've done
to
that
make
together.
it. Yeah, you should be able to make it through anything, because that's where those qualities in each other show up so much, right? You always have like, are both people the decision maker? Does one person have to make the decision and the other people just support it?
All right, so I feel
agree?
like we're jumping around. So let's close some loops on multiple things here.
Okay.
The building, right? Knowing that they passed the health inspection and it's closed, there's a soft opening tomorrow.
Yep.
When you were there today, did you have this feeling? Because for me, even though it's not my business, it's just my company, or excuse me, my building, right? Having the vision to be like, there could be a retail space in here. We're going to go directly through the windows and make it a storefront. We're going to put a grease trap into the floor, right? Underground. We're going to find the place. The vision coming to reality, it could be one of the most satisfying things, and things to remember who I am.
Yep.
It's wild. That whole entire process. There are a ton of wives who'd be like, you're nuts. You're not investing $400,000 of our own money with this vision of this even happening. Even the guy who owns it, who I love, isn't a technically proven commodity, is risk and whatnot. Us knowing integrator, visionary, or how that actually works has been so important, right?
Yep.
From buying the building to standing it up to activating the upstairs to like, this is a progression. So that was one thing. You also talked about the multiple times we have bought houses, gutted them, lived in them, and sold them. We did it with one house that was brand new. We made it our dream house, and it wasn't the one. We were able to pivot. We ended up buying a house that you didn't even think we'd like. We almost took it down to the studs. So we did 2 remodels within like 12 months. Right?
Yeah, that was intense.
That was intense. We made it through that, right? Pure faith, figured it out. And that takes us all the way back to the metaphor of jumping out of the plane and building the parachute on the way down. So it's really a leap of faith. But when you make this leap of faith, we're up in this plane. I can just picture it, me and you. We have our parachutes on. And you're like, all right, well, we're up here. And I'm like, I guess since we're here, and you're looking, and you got us up here because you've seen it, you've seen the vision, and I feel at that point you're like, I have ultimate faith, but I want him to jump first.
No, I think I push you out, and then
so you push me out. Exactly.
And then I'm like, all right, he's good. I'm good too.
Exactly. So you just said it. I didn't even prompt you. You did it yourself. I was like, I said, you want me to jump first? You go, no, I push you out. Same bullshit, right? I'm the canary in the coal mine here. So you push me out, and the minute I'm out, I'm like, ooh,
this is amazing.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I want to become a skydiver.
Yeah.
Right? You jump out after me, and I start putting it together. And you're next to me, skydiving with me, supporting me, cheering me on, being my partner, and I'm going to figure this out.
And it goes both ways. I mean, even like back to the horse, like that's me, figuring it out, and you supporting me, and you really supporting that dream. You know what I mean? So it's this give and take, really. And it's like, when you look at other couples, I think a lot of people do this even more extreme than us. Like there's people around us where we're like, holy shit, we thought we were nuts. And we look at other people, we're like, wow, they're real nuts.
I mean, like my coach Garrett and Danielle they're wild with this.
Yeah.
I think Anthony and Allison are really, they live it, right? They're in it. They're in life. And it made me start thinking of almost like a business, right? Because this is a partnership.
Yeah.
And you got to find out pretty quickly who is in the right roles. Because just because you could do the roles doesn't mean it's the right role for you.
Yeah.
And if you think of like an org chart of a business, who's the visionary, who's the integrator, right? They're just as important. Who's the CEO, who's the COO? You could have the right people. They call it like, who do you have on the bus? The right people on the bus. So you could have the right husband and wife on the bus, but they're sitting in the wrong seats.
Totally. And I was just thinking about that. And not only they might be sitting in the wrong seats, but how many people or in couple situations are in a role where it's depleting them, right?
Yes.
And they don't want to be in that role, or maybe that's not like making them feel alive and juicy. It's like, what kind of conversations do you think that those couples need to have for them to like be like, okay, this is where I really want to live? Because I feel like we've been on this since we met. We've been on this road of really figuring out what our roles are, and I feel like we're at a really good place because now we're very hyper aware of it.
Yep.
But there was a long time where it wasn't like that.
I know there's relationships where one person wants to try another state and the other person doesn't, or a relationship where one person wants to open a business and the other one doesn't, or one person where like maybe the wife wants to like work or expand her horizons and the husband's not for it,
or open a business.
Is usually like somebody holding the other one back. And I don't even think it's like, if it's a man and a woman, the man is holding the woman back, like they're taking turns holding each other back, right? I think we all do that. I think you even do that to each other. And so that's why it's so important to really almost do this strategic plan for your marriage.
Yeah, the 10-year marriage contract, it comes in play.
It does, because if you're sitting there with a business and you're like, well, where do we want to go? You know, that's the first thing I always ask people when I'm coaching them. It's like, what do you want? Like, where? Like, I can't reverse engineer or help you reverse engineer and put together this plan without knowing what the destination is. Sure, the destination is going to change 1,000 times, but we have to at least start with what we think we want. Right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to find out very quickly if we're the people to pull it off, who we have to become to pull it off, and what has to change, and if the juice is worth the squeeze along the way. Right? And so if we're like, okay, we want to try this new way of life, your role is to see it and push it and be innate. My role is to be like, this sounds awesome. I'm right there with you, babe. Then you're like, well, we can't get lulled into our life. And I'm like, yes, but we can't jump unless we know what we're jumping to,
right?
Or we're going to end up in the middle of the ocean here, right? And so we have figured out what our roles are.
Yeah, my role is to find it, and then your role is to critique it and make it better. You always say, even with our remodels, right?
It's not like, even that.
What?
You want it done faster.
Yes.
And I want it done better. There's something, because you need urgency or you'll never get anything done.
Yep.
And there has to be a standard or it's not going to be done well. We have figured that out.
Yeah.
Plus, we're also willing, I believe we're aligned on being comfortable with the risk. What would your advice be to couples as far as knowing their roles?
Well, I think they need to really, first off, figure out what role they're currently playing.
Perfect. I 100% agree. Or what roles are needed.
Yes. And what roles are missing, right, in the relationship.
So let's take this. I could go for, like, this is actually interesting. So in business, and especially in this EOS traction, right, the game is to create the role without a person in mind.
Okay.
And what happens in most businesses and in life is you try to create the role around the person. And then it becomes a shit show, because
that person might not even be aligned with that role.
And it's not even that. That person ends up taking on too many roles. Right? And so in your case, for instance, if part of your role was cleaning, laundry, whatever, and we didn't have a separate role for somebody else to do that, your best use and the role that we've created for you would be completely sabotaged.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
100%.
Right? When you're building out this, I want my life or our life to look like this in the future, what support do we need underneath the king and the queen?
Yeah, what roles do we need? And then which ones are we willing to
Like, which
fulfill?
ones do we need right now?
We need an executor of some sort, like an assistant. We also need childcare help.
Yep.
Right?
Like, there was that great, I don't want to search my phone for it. I screenshotted it where it was like, you should not be doing these things. And it was like emails, appointments. It was like wild how many things.
Yeah.
Vacations, planning, childcare. Like it was like 30 roles where you were just supposed to delegate. It's like great book, Who Not How.
Yeah.
Right? Like finding the who to do it. Don't figure out the how. You and I are great at figuring out the how, but it becomes very taxing to us.
Yeah, when we don't give up control and we try to take on all the roles ourselves.
Because we have so many dreams and so many things we want to do. Right? And then if we take on too many of these roles, then for instance, do we have time to be husband and wife? Do we have time to take care of our health? Do we have time to take care of our own passions, not just our purposes? Just going through this conversation right now, I'm like, we should be org charting with a strategic plan.
That's going to be part of the 10-year marriage contract, is an org chart on roles. We're going to do that. That's going to actually be like written out.
And you know what's funny is we should have somebody actually implementing that and helping us do it. And that we could just sit there and be like, this is what we want done. Go do it. You see how we fall for the trap in real time.
Yes. And then we bring people, our best use would be to bring other couples through the experience and how to like design their own life and their own marriage.
I think we've done a good job in our own businesses, right? We've set it up.
Yeah.
It took a long time where it was like, okay, we can be the visionary of it.
Yeah, I'm very clear in business. And I'm actually really clear in our marriage now. So it's like,
We're also 15
million.
15 years in.
That's true.
The purpose of this is how are you building your team as a marriage? Are your goals as a couple and individually and for your kids aligned? Are you willing to break the box and be like, wow, we've always done it this way, but we really want to do it this way. Have the hard conversation, the real conversation, the honest conversation, and then be willing to execute it. Because sometimes you got to jump out of that plane with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
It could be a scary game. And then also knowing, like, because some men may want to be the visionary and they're not. The wives are.
Right.
I know.
How are you going to support your spouse in that? In whatever roles they're playing, right?
And usually the visionary is always the one who gets the headlines, right? Everyone talks about Steve Jobs. They don't really talk about Steve Wozniak. But without Steve Wozniak, there's no Apple, right? So you got to figure out, are you the Steve Jobs or are you the Steve Wozniak in the relationship?
Yep.
And are you cool with it? Because even when my dad and I were doing Urban Nest, I was the Steve Jobs and he was the Wozniak. And it screwed with our relationship because he was the dad and I was the son.
Yeah.
So like, he was like, what are you trying to do here? You have all this vision and want to change everything and go. And it's almost like I'm the boss because I'm driving. It's weird because I'm not the boss of my dad. Like, you get what I'm saying? And that dynamic happens in marriages too. It can be emasculating if the woman's got more courage. I was going to say balls.
I know you were.
But if she has more courage, is the man willing to be masculine in a way to be like, all right, that's her role. I'm going to be strong inside of this.
His own role.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you take this podcast as an example, it just started as an idea. It started as a calling and something that we wanted to do. I don't even remember who wanted to do it more in the beginning. Because I know I kind of like, we talked about it for a long time and I was like, I don't know. I got so much going on. And I remember having the lunch at the Thai place and you were like, this really matters to me. I was like, okay. And then I pulled it off.
Yep.
There's no guarantee still. This week, this could be just a play.
Passion project.
Passion project, legacy for our kids. We spend good money on it, right? Because, we could do it fast or we could have it produced well. We have a great logo for it, right?
Yeah.
We did what was required.
I mean, I was even wanting to do it so fast. I was willing to put our camera or our phones on the dashboard and just listen to our conversation.
Which there's something to say about that because there's a lot of super successful podcasts and super successful people who have guerrilla'd it, right?
Right. But we've committed to it. And it's about like seeing the commitment through and really like, for us, it's about having the conversations over and over and over again. And it brings us back to the whole topic that we're even talking about.
Are you proud that we've gone this far with it?
Totally.
Were you proud when you walked into the coffee class today and saw it?
Very much so.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm proud of every person that comes to me after they've listened to a podcast or they've heard us, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I am very much like, you know what? We're at least creating some conversations. We're at least creating some thought seekers. And
You know,
That's exciting.
I'll kind of leave it with this. I'll tell a story because now it feels like it was just yesterday. I remember we drove across town to go try one of the other locations.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat in the Green Valley location and ate the food. And we get back in the car. And I guess this is kind of cool because we decide to go from there to go see Cruz the horse.
Mm-hmm.
So like all of these big moves were actually happening in one. They were showing up in this story, right?
Yep.
And so we're driving. And Ella goes, why were we there? Are we going to buy that restaurant? Which, just the fact that she asked that.
Yeah.
I was like, no, we're checking it out because I want to like touch it and feel it and eat it. Like I want to it's one thing to see the numbers, but I want to experience it firsthand to see if it's something that I want to invest into the building because I don't want to invest all this money into something that I don't think's a winner, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, you're telling us that there's going to be an actual restaurant in our office building? And we're like, yeah. She says something like, oh, well, we're never sure.
Yeah. We're never sure.
If you're serious about this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, you guys are always talking about these crazy things. And me and Lola, we'll look at each other like there's no way they're going to actually do this. And then you guys do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually do what you say you're going to do. And I don't know if I'm going to cry now, but I started tearing up.
Yeah, both of us did. Yeah.
I was like, hey, it's beautiful to see. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about what other people think of me.
Mm-hmm.
But to think that this is how our kids look at us, I was like, this is incredible. But also it was extremely validating for me.
Totally. I mean, I think both of us started crying and it was a beautiful moment and being like, you know what, we might not do everything right with our kids, but I think we're doing that one right.
We don't always do what we say we're going to do, in the time frame that we want to do it. But man, we always end up doing it. Mm-hmm. And maybe then we're really on time.
And sometimes we got to course correct really quick because it's not the right decision like the RV, but at least we fucking tried.
Out there. And that's the beauty of the whole game. And sometimes I'll be so in my bubble, me and you. Mm-hmm. And we will care about all these decisions we're making. And I think we forget how great we are together and also individually when we actually have a goal and we want to go for it and execute it. And I'm not necessarily, like I said, interested in what people are saying or thinking about us or their opinion of us. But I am sometimes because it reminds me of who I am. It makes me remember that we pull off some really cool stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get so into the future that I don't have a moment to appreciate and truly feel the fact that the moment. Yes, that we're doing these things. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why today is just I have a nice little special feeling around yes, there are so many things. I got 2 books I need to write. I got a Facebook community to build, a coaching company to put together, a ranch to buy. We got things we want to do. Our things have things that need to do, right? Our goals have goals.
But maybe that's why the universe is slowing us down.
Yeah.
On purpose.
So make sure that you have the right partner and team player in this game.